The question came out of nowhere, light and careless, the way people ask about the weather. "Why won't you date?" his boss asked, leaning against the doorway of her office with a half smile. The words should have bounced off him. Instead, they landed somewhere deep, somewhere raw. He looked up from his desk, fingers frozen on the keyboard, and in that pause, something fragile inside him cracked open. Ethan Miller had learned how to survive by keeping things simple. Wake up early, make breakfast for his daughter, pack lunches, drop her at school, work hard, come home, read a bedtime story, repeat. His life was a careful routine built to keep grief from spilling out. Dating did not fit into that structure. Love, in the romantic sense, felt like a luxury he could no longer afford. So when Clara Hayes, his boss, asked that question, she unknowingly tugged at the one thread he never allowed himself to touch. Clara wasn't just any boss. She was sharp, composed, respected by everyone in the office. She had a way of seeing people, really seeing them, even when they tried to hide behind professionalism. Over the past year, she had noticed Ethan's quiet dedication, his refusal to join after-work drinks, the way he rushed out every afternoon at exactly 5. She admired him. More than that, she had begun to care for him in a way she tried hard not to acknowledge. "I don't have time," Ethan replied automatically, his voice steady, practiced. He had given that answer before. It usually ended the conversation. But Clara didn't move. "You make time for everything else," she said gently. "You work harder than anyone here. You never complain. You never take a day off unless your daughter is sick. I wonder why you don't make time for yourself." The room felt smaller. Ethan swallowed. Images flickered in his mind without permission. A hospital room bathed in white light. A woman with tired eyes smiling through pain. A promise whispered too late. He stood up, as if standing might keep him from falling apart. "Because some things," he said quietly, "don't fit anymore once they're broken." Clara's smile faded. "Ethan," she said softly, "you don't have to answer if you don't want to." He should have stopped there. He should have thanked her and gone back to work. Instead, he heard himself say, "My wife died 3 years ago." The words hung between them, heavy and final. Clara's breath caught. She knew he was a single dad. Everyone did. But she had never asked why. She had never imagined this. "I'm so sorry," she said, and for the first time her voice trembled. "She got sick," Ethan continued, staring at the window instead of at her. "Cancer. We thought we had time. Doctors always say things like that. Then one day there wasn't any time left." He paused, the memory tightening his chest. "She made me promise I'd be happy, that I wouldn't close myself off. I said I would, but I lied." Clara felt her heart ache in a way she hadn't expected. She had asked a simple question. Now she was standing in the middle of someone else's quiet storm. "That doesn't mean you can't ever love again," she said carefully. Ethan finally looked at her. His eyes were tired, but there was something else there, too. Fear. "It does when you have a child," he said. "My daughter lost her mother. Every time she smiles, every time she laughs, I hear my wife's voice in it. If I bring someone new into her life and it doesn't work out, that's another loss. I won't do that to her." Clara felt tears sting her eyes. Not because of herself, but because she suddenly understood the depth of his loneliness. He wasn't avoiding love out of bitterness or fear of intimacy. He was protecting someone else with everything he had. "I asked you why you won't date," Clara whispered. "I didn't mean to hurt you." "You didn't?" Ethan said. "It's just, no one ever asks the real question. They think I'm broken, or cold, or still in love with a ghost. The truth is, I'm just a dad trying to keep his daughter's world from falling apart." That was the moment something shifted for Clara. Her heart broke. Not because he didn't want to date, but because she realized how alone he had been carrying this. "You don't have to do it alone," she said, before she could stop herself. Ethan shook his head gently. "I already am." They returned to work after that, but nothing felt the same. Clara couldn't stop thinking about him. about the way his voice had softened when he spoke of his daughter, about the quiet strength it took to choose responsibility over personal happiness every single day. She found herself watching him in meetings, noticing how he listened more than he spoke, how he always thought things through. Respect turned into something deeper, something warmer. At home that evening, Ethan helped his daughter Lily with her homework, cooked pasta, and read her favorite story about a brave little fox. When she fell asleep, he sat on the edge of her bed longer than usual, brushing her hair back gently. "I'm doing my best," he whispered, though he wasn't sure who he was saying it to. Weeks passed. Clara didn't bring up dating again. Instead, she began to show up in quieter ways. She adjusted his schedule so he could leave early on school event days. She made sure his ideas were heard in meetings. Once, when Lily got sick and Ethan had to rush to the hospital, Clara handled his workload without question. One evening, as they walked out of the building together, Clara spoke again. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "What would your wife want for you now?" she asked. Ethan tensed slightly, but nodded. "Not what you think you should do, what she would want." He stopped walking. The city lights blurred as emotion rose unexpectedly. "She'd tell me I'm allowed to live," he said, after a long moment. "She always said love doesn't disappear just because it changes shape." Clara smiled sadly. "Then maybe dating isn't about replacing someone," she said. "Maybe it's about letting life grow around the space they left." Ethan didn't answer. But that night, for the first time in years, he didn't push the thought away. The real challenge came not from his past, but from his fear. Fear of disappointing his daughter. Fear of opening wounds that had barely healed. Fear of hoping again. Clara faced her own challenge too. She was his boss. There were boundaries, risks, and the quiet knowledge that she could give her heart to a man who might never be ready. One afternoon, Lily visited the office for a few minutes after school. Clara met her by chance in the hallway. Lily smiled shyly, clutching her backpack. "Daddy says you're very kind," she said. Clara knelt to her level. "Your daddy is very special," she replied. That night, Ethan realized something. His daughter hadn't looked afraid. She hadn't looked threatened. She had looked curious, open, just like children often are. A few days later, Ethan stood outside Clara's office again. This time, he knocked. "About that question you asked," he said when she looked up. "Why I won't date." Clara's heart raced. "Yes?" "I think the real answer is, I was scared," he said. "But I don't want fear to be the thing that teaches my daughter how to live." Silence stretched, fragile and hopeful. "I can't promise anything," he added. "I can't move fast, and my daughter always comes first." Clara's eyes filled with tears, but she smiled. "That's exactly why," she said. "You're worth waiting for." Their story didn't become perfect overnight. There were awkward moments, hard conversations, and slow steps forward. But there was honesty and patience and a quiet understanding that love, when it comes from responsibility and care, can be stronger than fear. The answer that once broke Clara's heart ended up healing both of them. Because sometimes the reason someone won't date isn't that they don't believe in love. It's that they believe in it so deeply, they're afraid to handle it carelessly. And when courage finally meets compassion, even the most guarded hearts can learn how to open again.
सुबह का वक्त इतान के लाए हमेशा एक से ऐसे होता था, लेकिन उस दिन कुछ अलग था. Alam baine sa pela, ius ki ang kulgai. Dimak main sief ek hi bat gum rahi thi, Clara ke laughs.
"Fear koapni bedika teacher mat bandu. Vopi star paharbait. Raha. Lili ke kamre se ati hauki si sans ki awas sunta hua. Uspa usne mesus kia ke wo sirf zinda rekna hi raha baki dera apne ap karo karye raha hahi. Office main Clara ne usa normal tarak se grit kia ya se kukhaz huahi naho. Lekin an dono ke bich hawa badly widisi. Nazre milti to dono to dasa rikjate. Ethan ne notice kia keski viko, Clara pehle se jiwara khamoshti, lekin uski khamoshi main pressure nahi tha, sirf intizar tha. Yanizar Ethan kodra tha, bi tha aur himmat bi deta tha. Lunch break mine Ethan Akila bite that jabas ka phone, par Lily ka message aya. School project kile parents ko balaya gaya da. Aska dil ekpal kalia gabra gaya.
Kam, simmedari, aur firvo. Naja essas jo Klara. Keskiviikko saat jut gajataa. Sab kush ek saat hiot. Rahataa. Uznen socha shayat ye zindagi hai. Sab kush manage kana. Bina kisi guarantee ke.
Us sham yapvoh lili. Ko school selene gaya. Toh usne dekha ke lili. Todisi udas lag rahi thi. Kia huwa? Itan ne pucha. Lily ne kushte chapre kar kaha. Sab ke parents either. Api, muj, ashalaga.
Lekin sabke sat koi aur bi hota hai. Uske alfaz masum. De lekin unmain sak chupada.
Itan nugadi side pa woki o lili ki taraf deka. तुम्हें लगता है मुझ भी किसी और के साथ होना चाहिए लिली ने कांद उश्के अगर आप खुश रहोगे तो मैं भी खुश रहूंगी अगर आप खुश रहोगे शायद वो सिर्फ अपनी बेटी को प्रोटेक्ट नहीं कर रहा था शायद वो खुश रहोगे देखने का मौका ही नहीं दे रहा था अगले दिन ऑफिस में मुश्किल था एथन ने क्लारा किसकी वीक का ऑफिस किसकी वीक का बाहर खुद को रुकते हुए पाया तारा बिव लेकिन इस बार वह तार के साथ खादा रहना चाहता था कॉफी उसने सीधा पूछा बिना ज्यादा सोच विचार किसकी वीक को क्लारा ने ऊपर देखा थोड़ी हैरानी फिर हल्की सी मुस्कुराहट ऑफिस के बाहर उसने पूछा इतने यहाँ मन सर हिलाया सिर्फ कॉफी उसने कहा जैसे अपने आप का तसल्ली दे रहा हो कॉफी शॉप में बेक खबर खाना अजीब था कोई फॉर्मल मीटिंग नहीं कोई डेडलाइंस नहीं सिर्फ दो लोग अपनी कहानियों के साथ क्लारा ने अपनी तन्हाई के बारे में बताया कैसे सक्सेस के बीच काहिन न काहिन वो खुद को खो चुकी थी एथन ने पहली बार महसूस किया कि इसकी वीक को दर्द सिर्फ उसका नहीं है मैं परफेक्ट नहीं हूं ईतन ने देर से कहा मुझे पता नहीं मैं ये सब सही कर पाऊंगा या नहीं क्लारा ने बिना हिचकिचाहट जवाब दिया मैं परफेक्शन ढूंढती नहीं रही मैं सिर्फ साख चाहती हूं Sub's body challenge. अभी बाकी the Lily.
इतन जानता था कि अगर वो आगे बढ़ेगा तो उसे अपनी बेटी को भी इस सफर में शामिल करना होगा रात को जब लिली सो रही थी इतन उसके पास बैठा रहा अगर पापा किसी दोस्त से मिलें उसने देर से पूछा तो तुम्हें कैसा लगेगा लिली ने आंखें खोल कर मुस्कुराया
जब तक वो आखा हो मुझे कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं
उस रात ईथन ने पहली बार गिल्ड किसकी वीक को बिना मुस्कुराया
क्लारा के साथ कॉफी सिर्फ एक शुरुआत थी लेकिन उसने एक दरवाजा खोल दिया था एक ऐसा दरवाजा जहां डर के साथ उम्मीद भी थी
चैप्टर 2 यही खत्म होता है लेकिन कहानी अभी शुरू हुई है क्योंकि जब इंसान अपने डर का सामना करता है तभी उसे पता चलता है कि दिल टूटने के बाद भी दोबारा धड़कना जानता है
अगर चाहो मैं इसका चैप्टर 3 भी लिख सकता हूँ कॉफी के बाद ईतन ने सोचा था कि सब कुछ देर आवर सेफ रहेगा कोई जल्दी नहीं कोई प्रेशर नहीं लेकिन जिंदगी अक्सर तब इम्तिहान लेती है जब इंसान थोड़ा सा हिम्मत जुटा लेता है बंजन
किसी ने ईतन और क्लारा को साथ हेस्ट हुए देख लिया था कोई नाम नहीं ला रहा लेकिन नाज़रन माइन सवाल साफ ईथन को सबसे ज्यादा डर इस बात का था कि क्लारा के लिए मुश्किल पैदा हो सकती है वो उसकी बॉस थी उसकी रेपुटेशन उसकी पोजीशन
एक शाम उसने क्लारा से सीधा बात करने का फैसला किया अगर तुम चाहो उसने कहा तो हम यहीं रुक सकते हैं उसकी आवाज में शक था और थोड़ा सा डर भी
क्लारा ने उसकी तरफ देखा आंखों में पहली बार गुस्सा नहीं बल्कि थकान थी
मैं जिंदगी भर लोगों की बातें सुनती रही हूँ उसने कहा अगर मैं FAAIA था के पीछे छुप जाऊं तो फिर मेरी मेहनत का क्या मतलब फिर बायस ने एक हाथ खींच दी लेकिन हुमैन स्मार्ट रहना होगा प्रोफेशनल क्लियर यह उनका पहला बड़ा चैलेंज था बैलेंस ऑफिस की अंदर सिर्फ बॉस और एम्प्लॉई ऑफिस के बाहर तो इंसान यो एक दूसरे को समझने की कोशिश कर रहे थे कभी कभी यह टूट जाती थी कभी कभी ज्यादा मजबूत हो जाती थी पर दोनों ने एक दूसरे का हाथ नहीं खोदा
Is Beach Lily का स्कूल इवेंट एक गाया फैमिली डे ईथन
kadil fear sa gabragaya. Pela ye, din sirfus hour. Lili kahota da. Is, baus ne. Clara ko invite karne ke bar, mein socha hinay ta. Lekin lili na kud puchlia. Papakaapki, wo coffee wali friend na sakti hain. Itan na sakbola. Masum sa wall. Lekin gara matlab. Surf tab, jab tum comfortable. Oh. Lili naturan han man sir hiladia. Aspalitan ko samaj aya ke uski beti utsa jeda mazbut. Hijit na usne sochata. Family day par Clara dodi nervous di. Usnin samplas address pe na bina kisi dikav ke. Yup Lili neuska hath pakta. Ta Clara ke. Dilman kuchtut. Karjut gaya. Ethan dorse ya sin dekraha. Sahir seishi watar dono eksath. Fear wupa ayajis. Ethan bekna chatada. Ek our parent nehal kisi muskurahat ke sath puch liya aap Lili ki mom hain. Clara toda sahrit geji. Ethan age bata awas shant lekin strong. Nahi. Ye Lili ki friend hain. Our hum dono kele important hain. Uski awaz mein sham naiti. Surfsach. Da.
Clara ne pehlibar, मैं सोच किया के ईतन सिर्फ अपनी बेटी को नहीं, उसे भी प्रोटेक्ट कर रहा है। ये एक नया रिश्ता है। नाम केसकीवी को बीना, लेकिन इज्जत केसकीवी को साथ।
Sab kuch smooth nahi da. Ek rat Lili na chanak puch liya. Mama wapas kyun na ya sakti? Vus value ha single parent ko? Chote tai. Ethan na as rat Clara ko phone nahi kiya.
उसने सिर्फ लिली को सीन से लगा कर रो लिया। डार्ट फिर से जिंदा हो गया।
Agla din Ethan office nahi aya. Clara ko reason samaj gaya. Sham ko ids ma ux message beja tum ake lay nai ho. Koi advice nahi. Koi pressure nahi. Sirf sath hon ka asas. Yeah. Chapter Unkliye Saps Mushkilda. Kyunki Jap Purana Dart Wapas Atahai. Tap nai rishtan ka imtihan hodahai. Lekin is imtihan main Ethan our Clara. Nesika ke pyar ka matlab dard mitana nai hota. Kabi kabi pyar ka matlab hota hai. Ours dard ke sat shap shap khed rena.
Chapter 3 यही रुकता है एक ऐसे मोट पर जहां दार अभी भी जिंदा है लेकिन उस पर अब हिम्मत का साया पड़ चुका है अगर चाहो मैं इसका चैप्टर 4 भी लिख दूंगा